Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Tuesday, 15 July. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about The Hague has upheld a Kosovo war crimes conviction. Trump has threatened tariffs on Russia if no deal with Ukraine is reached. And a US-EU trade deal seems impossible. So firstly, the Kosovo Liberation Army member, Shala, saw his conviction upheld, but the sentence reduced from 18 to 13 years, the Kosovo Specialist Chambers Tribunal in The Hague said on Monday. The tribunal, staffed by international judges and lawyers, was set up in 2015 to handle cases under the Kosovo law against fighters of the KLA. The court said that Shala's original sentencing was out of reasonable proportion for comparable cases. Shala was convicted in 2024 of war crimes during the 1998 to 1999 Kosovo uprising against Serbian troops. He was found guilty of torture, murder, and arbitrary detention, which he committed as he ran a makeshift prison where people considered to be spies or collaborators with the Serbs were held. So what? It's pretty interesting to see his sentence get reduced despite his conviction for some pretty serious crimes being upheld. Kosovo is still a pretty tricky political situation for the Balkan region, and it's not going away anytime soon. So it's interesting to see that they've reduced his sentence. He's going to probably spend the rest of his life in prison, so it doesn't seem to make any difference. It does re-highlight the brutal nature of this conflict, which is something that happened in pretty recent memory and in the lives of most of us, to be fair. And next, US President Donald Trump has revealed his awaited major statement on Russia, threatening Moscow with a very, very severe tariffs unless a deal to end the war in Ukraine is reached within 50 days. Trump made the announcement as he sat beside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in the Oval Office, saying he was very unhappy with Russia. So what? There's some pretty interesting statements coming out about this. Like, one story published by US media said that in a recent phone call with Putin said that he wanted to try and secure the rest of his territory within 60 days, which they indicate lines up completely with Trump saying that Putin has 50 days to reach the deal. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Why 50 days? Nobody knows. It's just more delaying. Like, Trump knows that there's no other option apart from making a deal with Russia. So he just keeps giving them more and more time. Like, this is his like 6th or 7th deadline. So it's a bit ridiculous, and Putin's kind of making a mockery of Trump, which is not what we want to see, really. Trump clearly has very little control over him. Also, what is 100% tariffs going to do when the country is sanctioned to absolute fuck? I don't really understand how that's that big of a threat, to be honest. And lastly, the EU trade chief said on Monday that he believed the US was ready to continue ongoing trade negotiations. US President Donald Trump had announced that they would impose a 30% trade tariff on imports from the EU and Mexico from August if no deal was reached. His remarks came amid division within the EU on how to confront the threat. France is among European nations calling for a hardball approach, while others urge caution with a mind to Europe's continued reliance on US defence. Among those threatening stark consequences is Italy's foreign minister. He said the EU had already prepared to lift tariffs worth 21 billion euros on US goods if the two sides failed to reach a deal. So what? It seems more likely that the fallout from not reaching a deal will be politically rather than economically, especially for the US. It will probably hurt the EU a lot more than it will hurt the US, to be honest, as I don't really know how much the US buys from Europe. But regardless, the fallout will be politically, and Trump may use other levers in his arsenal, such as NATO and defense spending in Europe, to try and pressure the EU into making concessions in terms of trade. But yeah, it seems like pretty tense times with the relationship between the two sides. So it'll be interesting to see if they do come to agreement and what concessions the EU will make to try and appease Trump at this time. Thank you for listening. That has been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.